Welcome back, Crusaders. This is the Nerd Crusade, and we are going to be talking about first impressions of some new games. And our new game we're going to be talking about is Hellblade 2, Senua's Saga. This game is more of the same, so if you're a fan of the first game, you're going to be a fan of this one. I think this game was probably overmarketed by Xbox to a point where some people thought this was going to be bigger and badder and more expansive than the original. But Ninja Theory is a small team, and the expectation probably shouldn't have been set up that way. We'll talk more about that later. But basically, this game, like I said, has never been a huge action adventure game, but it's been more of a graphics marvel, meaning that the gameplay is kind of slim, and we are expected to more marvel at the performance of the actors and how it was captured and the imagery was shown. So people's criticism in the past of it being like a walking simulator with very few fight sequences is still pretty much true. It's probably kind of a walking simulator puzzle game with this one at least a lot more fighting in it. The real focus on these games specifically has been mental psychosis, what it's like to experience that, and trying to get people who are not psychotic or suffering from some psychosis to understand what a person who is actually going through. They are helped by top researchers and actual patients in the development process to understand what it's like to experience this mental illness and how to best portray it in the game so the player experiences it. I would say this is probably definitely the best looking game on Xbox right now, hands down. The combat is really fun. It looks amazing, especially when you engage the focus mechanic. It has this really cool effect where I don't know if they speed the frames or they slow it down, but it looks really amazing, and it happens for such a short period of time. You never get tired of watching it over and over again. So that's like the 30-second gameplay loop that you're going to want to see over and over and over again, because you're going to constantly trying to understand like what exactly film trick are they using to pull that effect off. It's the same effect that was in the first game, but here it just seems just more clear and more visceral, which is nice. The plot to this game does seem fairly intriguing. Basically, Senua returned to her land. The Northmen came back and started enslaving their people, and so she let herself get captured so she can find out where the slaves are being taken, rescue them, and kind of, I guess her original plan is to lead an uprising to stop the slavers. But in her journey, she finds out that the slavers are actually grabbing people to sacrifice them because the giants have awoken on this land, which I think they're trying to say is Iceland, and to protect one tribe or one group of people to protect themselves, they're sacrificing slaves so that the giants leave them alone, while another group of people are just kind of trying to hide from them. And Senua takes on herself that she's going to save all these people. But in the back of her mind, she's still dealing with the psychosis that she has, the darkness that she has. But it's portrayed a little bit differently here, where in the first game, it was definitely something she was struggling with to deal with and try to overcome and understand what it's doing. This game, she basically understands what it is. So, like, the voices that you constantly hear, which they refer to as the Furies, she understands that, like, that's kind of like her inner monologue. Like, so where most people have like an inner monologue or inner thought process. Her inner thought process has multiple voices. So, and those multiple voices could be the slew of different emotions that she's feeling all at the same time. So, like, they're all talking to her about whatever you're doing at the same time. So, I say somebody who has like an issue with sensory overload might have a problem in this game because there's a lot of it, but there's a reason for it, because that's what a person in psychosis feels like. They constantly have input from everything and anything, and it's usually from things that other people don't see or hear, and that's what they have to deal with. So this game portrays it more as, hey, she understands it, she's dealing with it, it is constantly trying to break her down, but she understands that part of it's definitely lying to her, and that she can overcome it. So she constantly gets pulled into these dark sequences where it's trying to take her over or break her down, tell her that she can't do something, and then she finds her way out of that maze to come out saying, no, you're lying, and I'm going to do this, I know I can do this, and pushes herself forward, or that, hey, the things that she's being told that are driving her down and are that should discourage her, she's using it to push her forward. Which is kind of like the message with all mental health stuff is that yes, you might be experiencing something that not everybody else has experienced, or maybe you're experiencing something a lot of people experience. The whole point is push through it, and you'll have your good days, you'll have your bad days, but you just gotta push through it. So, again, this game is not a long experience. It's not going to be a 20, 40-hour experience. It has the same type of collectibles that I had in the first game, which are like little story inputs from basically pillars that you find and focus on. Has a cool mechanic of actually I don't necessarily know what it does yet because it hasn't really explained it, but basically like I found a face in a rock and then you stare at it and then you see how the scene kind of morphs and shows a hidden path. I've only found one of those so far, but that's really interesting. It is interesting how the other characters that they've introduced here do respond to how you play, where the first game was very much a solo experience with Senua. This one, she runs into a few characters that will travel with her for short periods of time. And as you're being a gamer and going off trying to find the boundaries of an area or see if there's a hidden path or a hidden collectible here or there, you'll see them stop in their path and they'll talk amongst each other like, what is she doing? Why are we listening? Why are we having with us? She's crazy. She's wandering off. Like, that's kind of cool. They acknowledge what you're doing, which to us would be normal as a gamer because we're just trying to find the boundaries of the map and what's been hidden there. Versus, in reality, you would normally just, hey, these people are leading you somewhere, so follow them. Don't just wander off to go do something. But as a gamer, we're rewarded with a collectible or something. So that might pad out your experience if you do that, or you just run through it. Most people said this game is probably like 5 to 6 hours, which is kind of on par with the first game. The puzzles here are about the same, where it's like, hey, here's a symbol, now go in the world and piece together where parts of this symbol appear. Honestly, I found in the first game I got stuck at one point where I couldn't find a puzzle piece at all. So far through this, it's been fairly easy, but they've also been fairly sparse. Like I've only come across I think 2 of these main puzzles so far. But overall, this game does look really good. If you have Game Pass, definitely suggest picking up. If you're at all interested in mental illness and psychosis and what it's like to experience and try to understand that world, these 2 games are probably the best games to undertake that in a respectful way and show you that. I would definitely say Xbox overmarketed this title because the hype out there was that this was going to be a much more expansive, bigger game than it was. And that's because when they marketed it, they marketed this almost as a launch title because it was in all the ads for the Series X and Series S marketing before the console came out. And that's because, some people may say the marketing team is, gone downhill or whatnot, but honestly, you have to look at this and say, hey, they launched a console that had 0 games on it at launch. Their big tote Xbox always kept saying is, hey, we're going to have thousands of games at launch. Their thousands of games are back-compatible games. That's what they kept pushing, and yeah, great. The system is powerful. It does have some good games now, but we're 4 years into the console generation, and games that were announced at launch are just now coming out. So, unfortunately, this game got a huge spotlight on it before it was ready, and they really shouldn't have done that, but they had no games to show as far as next gen other than Infinite and this game and a couple others that probably got pushed. Some I would say definitely got pushed before they should have been, like Cyberpunk. This title probably would have performed really, really great 4 years ago, when they were first showing images of it. But it's been 4 years now, and the competition is really high, and other titles have come out to where, yes, this is the best-looking game on Xbox, but there are really good-looking games on other platforms and on PC and where fidelity has been pushed. Overall, good game. I definitely say you should check it out here at Game Pass, or if you're interested in the subject matter. Definitely not for everybody. If you didn't like the first game, if it wasn't your cup of tea, you're not going to enjoy this one. It's more of the same. But I still recommend it. I found it as a fun experience, especially playing with headphones is definitely a way to play it. Otherwise, you may lose some of what they're trying to expose you to. All right, that's it for now. You can catch us again here at Nerd Crusade. Watch all our reviews, podcasts, and whatnot at nerdcrusade.com, and watch our Twitch streams at the Nerd Crusade on Twitch. Okay, bye.